ambiances. Calm night till I enter beneath the veranda's twisted arch. Picture an eccentric park filled with a bewildered audience. Eyes fixed on semblances of souls expressed in melodic intonations. Eyes focused on fingers moving so fluid I can't ever tell if they are a particle or a wave. I don't have this capacity, this skill or alacrity. My will is a 96 Toyota Camry car battery. I'm used up, and thus it's refuse. I reuse that suppressive tool as arrested crew like in Chechen dudes with used weapons removed from authoritarian offices. Get these state piglets off of us. Writing is my Leonfield Colt 45, administering alphabetical artillery rounds to oppress cognitive dissonant buried minds, kill zombies with critiques of conceptual paradigms. Thank you. Patterson's flood. You ready, she asked. Yeah, let's go, I said, even though all she had on was a loose t-shirt, sweatpants, and a beat-up pair of sneakers. She still radiated, a star in cotton clothes, her eyes, her smile, her energy was all-encompassing, a chocolate hyacinth flood when our hands embraced. Mortared together like the bricks in the German houses at the heart of the city. A city of God's people. Her temples, once old storefronts or auto garages, are the spiritual centers we walk by, next to the decay of a black middle class left by the Assyrian. Among shattered glass and torn torch tents, we live in Sennacherib's abandoned camp. There I see a rat scavenging the ruins of Tenochtitlan. There I see a slave tripping over trash cans after inhaling the white flight of the devil's powder fleeing the pipe. None of this bothers us though, because we see children playing basketball in the park and entrepreneurs selling chop suey and selling barbecue in the lot of a chop suey restaurant. Old men are talking and laughing as an old lady strolls across the sun-beaten pavement. We fly to the Emerald Park on love we touch with eyes and ears. We take seat at the glimmering lake and feed the mallards sailing across that lake like a family of green neck yachts. Thank you. This one's new. It's called Hazel Eyes, which I don't have, so. Hardwood bar, hardwood table. A tall cup of beer with an amber hue beckons me with tiny bubbles rising from murky depths. Hazel eyes that tend to fixate, navigate the head to a memory of one adolescent ready to battle with his baby hands, because sometimes hazel eyes fixate. Past the memory, there is a window to a pristine washer world of cobalt blue seas twisting and ebbing. Dark-eyed creatures writhe in the grimy dark, deep, speaking in raspy voices about how hard it was to start smoking. These creatures forsook nicotine to start smoking the actual attributous anagogic American spirit spewing from potent vents off the coast of Washington and Oregon. This sight burns and crushes the eyes, it crushes the oxygen tank, forcing one to fly through ocean layers. This boost curses one with the bends beyond bends, waking up with eyes fixated on baby hands, throwing those inept fists. Thank you. Fathom. Who can fathom the Wagati and the Cropyline, demonic cineplexes, tryptophobic silhouettes, hollow minarets, occupied by enigmatic chasms? In the aphotic theater, I'm the anti-minimalistic minister, administering the glamour. Even in my drivel, I expel hexes, eyelids permanently lifted, a window with blasted blinds, and a home engulfed in circular ruins. A staggering tragedy, timeless as Pooh's corpses in the English peat bog, stalked by mangy dogs and ambitious beasts, all with greenish teeth. Fog fills the vacuum, but who can fathom? Thank you. This is called a Cupcake. This is also kind of new. Before we are allowed into our Palace of Commerce, where we gather for another day of slogging through mountains of laborious things to do. You know, a lot of hard, blister-bursting, foot-cracking work. It is a grueling, eye-gouging, duke-nuking experience working in a cupcake bakery. Is it wrong if I take a nibble? Yes, it is. My employers check us by sawing open our bellies to ensure that we are not stealing cupcakes. It is a good thing that security guard used to be an OBGYN. She is meticulous in how she slices the skin as lightly as a safety pin, piercing ridges on a fingernail. Then that slow cracking of metal on pink carotene etched with purple and magenta cracks. Finally, Rubicon rivers burst with mists of red clouds. I blame no one for getting grossed out. She opens my belly, gushing tissue like a burst pipe after a good freeze, and says, "Naughty, naughty, someone's been stealing cupcakes." She reached into my nearly empty flesh cavity with her rough hands, which were accustomed to shoveling fetuses out of people. Cold, rough hands used to shoveling mud and soil in her garden of bones. Her hands slid past the slippery cut cave opening on my belly and removed the various chocolatey, vanilla, strawberry, blueberry, orange berry, broccoli, blueberry cupcakes. She handed the gory treat to me, stating, "You put those back, mister." Thank you. All right, listen. You like Star Trek? Anybody like Star Trek?
Yeah!
Of course. I forgot where I was at. This one is called Jake Cisco. Jake Cisco with the keypad made lists so thick I had to resurrect Roger for this lexicographical deep tram. Through the thesaurus as I type epic utterances, lexings in the form of realist fabulous fashions. I still hit low, just because the muse feeding off my brain like an unchained pit bull. A gut cutting, gut punching, the tame fist closed in the cell of the psyche. I still rip holes through limp prose like H.L. Mencken. I rip holes through Mencken like Malik Walker and Chapu Anbar with a razor sharp conda, mopping blockheads, toppling these unwashed trolls in the cell of the psyche. A fist with teeth biting, pleading and striking. Like storm-battered seas gnawing at the pillars of the earth. No one in arm's length has witnessed the crumbling of sanctified walls. As I convert rubble to seraphic metrical versification. Thank you. I apologize for the speed. I'm gonna try to slow down as much as I can. I sincerely apologize for the speed.
GS9, baby, right?
Hell yeah, thank you. Yes, Jake Cisco. One of the best characters in Star Trek. Especially compared to, anyway.
What to do?
Any of it. Okay, all right, skip ahead. This one is called Cahokia. I went to the Cahokia City of the Cosmos lecture with my friend Moesha. I used a fake name. That's not her real name, Mom. The lecture was informative, which is an excellent way of saying boring. One of the more exciting parts of the lecture was all the speculation. The lecturer theorized or speculated that a supernova, which could have been the third brightest object in the sky around the year 1006 AD or CE for the atheists. According to the lecture, this supernova led thousands to Cahokia. Of course, it could have been due to drought, disease, and urbanization, but the lecturer was a spiritual man, as I found out later. There were many boring yet practical questions during the question and answer period until one young lady asked if there were orgone generators in Cahokia. Now, Moesha and I giggled as we assumed the lecturer was struck dumbfounded. Unfortunately, the lecturer didn't have a clue what the young lady was talking about, but I will explain it to you. Orgone is a pseudoscientific idea. It is esoteric energy or hypothetical universal life force initially proposed in the 1930s by Wilhelm Reich. Orgone was the anti-entropic principle of the universe, a creative substratum in all of nature. Orgone was a massless, omnipresent substance, like ether, but more closely associated with living energy than inert matter. After the question and answer period, I wanted to ask the lecturer if the mountains in Cahokia were used as ancient alien spaceship launch sites. But Moesha asked me not to. Well, she suggested Moesha was going to ask the lecturer how often he got asked questions like that. But because Moesha had to leave, I decided to ask him her question. When I did, he said that question about the orgone generator was the first question of that kind that he had gotten. He went on to tell me a story about a frog. I could end it almost there, right there. One day, when he was doing some work over at Cahokia, he moved a covering over an excavation site and he saw a frog. The next day, it was a toad, and that toad stuck with him for the rest of the month. This happened in sequence multiple times. According to the lecturer, he went on to explain that frogs and toads are spiritual creatures. He believed that there were other dimensions, a spiritual world possibly. He told me that he left clues in his lecture. At the end of the lecture, there was an image of a snake on the last PowerPoint slide. See what I meant when I said the lecture was a spiritual man? There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Monday night. I like to go to Venice on Monday nights. I'm not healthy mentally. I mean, that's not why I like Venice is great. Go to Venice. But anyway.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what am I talking about? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. To quote Ashley Ross, it's fine. It's fine. If you know her, you know what I mean. Anyway, Monday night. Deep galactic centers. Politically speaking, it's a Monday night. Cities half asleep. H2O breaches causing phone screens to glow. Regulars regularly regulating ridiculous amounts of rail on the patio. A musician sings, so I stepped outside to speak on my take, because this random person got to know. Philosophical nobody like the rest of you. No one can rescue you from my annoying, horrible poetics. It's like being trapped inside of a collapsed vestibule on a shitty vessel, selling to my nihilistic retinue of imaginary advisors, worm of shining incendiary, magically crafted by Agnes MacGyver. Escape my low self-esteem and guitar rip, stoically sipping in my hot Manhattan at the bar, drips of rain still off and on, seated in front of the cold black speakers. Adjacent to Pee Wee Harmon's sphinctoral creeping, most of my doctoral thesis. I chill with strangers, working class folk, employed by danger. I use lawn ornaments as bail. I drink with airline pilots, I sleep with politicians, then extort them. That's why I'm not in jail, explaining the exorbitant question of method, reverting my own interpretation away from the Lacanian real. All right, thank you. Thank you for that. All right. I pretty much know this one. It's really fucking short, but I still feel like I fucking forget it. Fucking fuck. All right. It's Sunday, right? So some of you went to church. I did. My family, you know, whatever. This is called GSpot. Makes no sense. All right.
Crickets.
I used to know this street corner preacher who called his church the G-Spot. He meant God's spot. The one place in the city where you can find the Lord. He'd go to downtown street corners and yell, "Come to my G-Spot." As women ambulated by like squirrels out of the way of gas guzzling aluminum tank cans, he'd call out to them, "Ladies, My GSpot is the only place where you will find your Lord and Savior. Crowds formed like dead skin left behind by someone with terrible eczema. Fellas, you really need to enter my GSpot. Out there fornicating, you could be enjoying the glory and grace of my GSpot. Thank you. You're serious for a second. Don't worry, I'm gonna get silly again. This is called Demon in a Soul. He felt the other's grip begin to weaken as he found himself alone in the room. He ambulated out of a courtyard where he could see friezes and elegant curved facades decorated with alternating gray wolf finials, devouring each other. He came to the street with yellow, faded lines where he was confronted by a combustible constable, a blue demon. You'd rather have me here than not here, said the demon in a soul with a sparkling badge. Clouds like great eyelids closed, open as if the sky was dreaming, only to awaken. Opening solar eyes, sending beams of heated homes, roasted broken AC on the side of the street. The demon says, you'd rather have me here than not here. Out on these tar-man streets there are no gods here. The emasculated man stares at the demon in the soul with a sparkling badge, staring into the abyss, but the abyss spoke back. What the fuck are you looking at? He let go of the ticket, rolling back to the thickest of the soulless, the decadent, the bold, and neglected niggas. The day was tartarous scorching. Besides the demon, the day was arduous and boring, cutting grass, raking, hard working. Now he's ready to sleep and start snoring, waking his mother, who told him his cousin was shot up yesterday on the way home from school. Some soldiers left his clothes stained with flesh and brains in the wrong place. He only wanted to converse with his mother after tradition and intention and context are all gone. She understood what remained, the minimal preposition of an utterance's true conditions. A statement is either true or false. Thinking about the constable's argument, his counter-argument is simply not here. This is a non-present remainder. This non-present remainder allows the sign to function in an indefinite amount of context. There is an infinite number of interpretations, but the true false nature of prepositions haunt each interpretation. He didn't want to get into a conversation with his uncle over his niece, or how his niece was screwing up her life by marrying the man that his uncle is. Talking to his uncle was like circling a black hole, trying to slingshot a vessel while forced to confront the magnetic turbulence as he was riding through the accretion disk given off by his uncle. As his uncle stomped down the steps, a one-man stampede, his uncle caught him in his neck, dumped him on a slippery boat. The young man wriggled, but he was put in a case. Forced seated in the kitchen chair where his uncle's words came down like nails in the concrete. He didn't account for the tilt in the accretion disk's outer region in the wrong place. His uncle reiterated that his nephew was shot up yesterday in the wrong place. No, actually near his house. Left him tattered in chains. Chains bullet bolted to the sidewalk. Outside the window, like hawks, drones watch the north. Some parts of the streets the beast don't want to part us, so the precinct sent drones to the north to strike us in the heart. Police departments are sending robots because the county's offices aren't Terminator enough. Skynet sends the Terminator from the future on a diet. He's on Atkins, only consuming dark meat with metallic teeth piercing the dermal layer. Is what he thinks looking at this drone, this tool of the seven-headed beast pushing us into extinction. Because of the indirect doxastic compelled coercion that compels the factory code in his internal semantics. The input is blackness. His blackness is processed, and the Monet impressions are expressed as implicit bias because causing someone like him to reach for a pistol when he sees a human being. Thank you. What are you doing there? This is called Fantastic Phantasms of Fantasy. Now, reality is aggrandized beyond fantastic phantasms of fantasy because he has ascertained pleasure more immense than the ambrosial halls of the immortals relaxed in the pleasure of eternal contemplation. Contemplating on the existence of the color of love, and the heart burns a blue flame hotter than the red flame of youth and thus realer. This flame is wise as a sage leading past the cocoa-painted crocodile skin trees. This flame is thoughtful as a counselor, consulting his every action. Guiding, savvy, sappy, sapphic, as the Armenian Grecian mystic, wooing the buyer with occult mysteries as he hypnotically sells Persian rugs. Rugs not needed, the flame knows this. The color of love is a dark hazel sorrel. So wise or exquisite is concealed behind a tarpaulin, unnaturally shaping her shapeliness, but hiding her refinement, her glamour. Thank you. Thank you. All right. This will be the last one, I guess, for the moment anyway. And this is called Ona Go. I don't speak Italian. Ona Gracia. Fucking Italian. I mean, they're great. Any Italians here? Italians in the audience? All right, good. Well, fuck. All right. I'm kidding, obviously. Italians are awesome. I love them all. They're great people. It's just being recorded. Ona Gracia. Benedetto Croce was initially a supporter of fascism until he realized the abject horror of fascism. He came up with the term onagocracia, which means government by asses, which best describes Mussolini's government. Croce broke with a friend he knew for years because his friend remained a fascist. This friend was Giovanni Gentile. While Croce was supporting Antifa and writing anti-fascist works, even being one of the only non-Jewish intellectuals not to do one of those racial background checks, Gentile was a proponent of a Berkeleyan sort of idealism. Everything was a product of the mind. Maybe it's better to say a Hegelianism with a God the fascists created. Croce rejected the absolute solipsism of his former asshole friend fascist Giovanni Gentile as nothing more than Schopenhauer's will. Incidentally, in Schopenhauer's will, he left everything to no one because no one loved him. And he believed that the pleasures of the world could only bring pain. To which Pinhead of the Cenobites responded, "Our only real pleasure is to squander our resources to no purpose, just as if a wound were bleeding away inside us. We always want to be sure of the uselessness and the ruinousness of our extravagance." Thank you.
Yeah. Woo.